What is your "oh it, I'm an asshole" moment? Teacher here walked into my co-worker's classroom, loudly and obnoxiously mocking a man from the district who is supposed to help us with instruction and provide support. She ushers me out of her room immediately and starts laughing, cause he was sitting in there to observe her next class. In high school I was walking behind someone in my year. I noticed she was walking with a limp, so I said, "Hey, girl's name, what the duck is wrong with your foot?" She spun around and said, "I have cerebral palsy." Still think about it 15 years later. Every group of friends has an asshole and I couldn't identify ours. Some guy came onto my lawn at night and started putting a yard sign in it. I saw him and ran outside and yelled, "What the duck do you think you are doing?" He started to respond putting a sign. I cut him off and said, "Not in my yard, you're not." I had given him permission weeks ago after he knocked on my door and asked me to sign a petition. Online dating. A lot of guys wear sunglasses in a bunch of their pictures. I come across one with sunglasses in every picture. Instead of just saying hi, I message the guy saying every picture has sunglasses. "Do you have eyes?" He responded, kindly informing me that he was in fact blind, but he did have eyeballs. It didn't work out. A little late, but when I was in like 4th grade, my dad got remarried, and eventually, my stepmother announced that she was pregnant. I was a little bit upset, since kid me was still bitter about my parents' divorce, custody battle, etc. And the thought of another sibling from a different mother seemed like salt in the wound for some reason in my mind. Some time later, over dinner, it ended up being announced that she wasn't going to have the kid anymore. When I heard this, I clenched my fist, pumped it in the air, and said yes. My stepmother ran out of the kitchen, followed by my dad. I sat there for a while, eating, and when my dad came back, I asked why my stepmom ran away. He then explained the concept of a miscarriage to me. I still feel awful about it to this day. Edit. She cried in the bathroom for the rest of the night. Edit number 2. Oh duck, this made top comment. Please don't hate me, internet. I was walking through the hallway at school and passed a group of students looking really somber being escorted to the headmaster's office by another teacher. Presuming that they'd been caught doing something they shouldn't have been, and without really thinking I said half under my breath, "Did someone die or something?" Turns out they were all siblings and had just been told that their mother had died of breast cancer. They were being taken to see their dad in the head teacher's office. I was in college, freshman year. It must have been 3 AM. And I am outside my dorm smoking a cigarette and hammered. Drunk children are everywhere, coming home from parties. What a time to be alive. This dude comes staggering up to the building, not a leg under him. I was in awe. Dude, yeah, you are oct bud. That's awesome. Haha, man, college rules. WOOOO. He didn't say anything, just hobbled past me into the building. Couple days later I am up at the campus center. I see drunk bro. He has crutches. Oh no. He has muscular dystrophy, or some sort of serious illness. My god. I've never felt like such an asshole. I don't know why he didn't have crutches at 3 AM. It didn't matter though. I only drunkenly hooted and hollered at people I knew after that. Ugh. As a small kid, I used to be into toy cars. For my 8th birthday, an older lady that came by our house frequently gave me a nice toy car, but I was growing out of them around that period. I tossed it aside and said I didn't like it. That lady was the cleaning lady, who had to work in her later years because her husband was a mean drunk who needed a lot of medical care and still spent loads of money on booze. She was nearly destitute. Her children had to drop her inheritance because it was less than the debts they'd also have to take on, and she bought me a really nice toy car, which I tossed right in front of her eyes. It may be a formative moment from my youth and all that jazz, but for her it was a rejection by a kid she evidently really liked, who disregarded her because she wasn't rich enough. I feel like a complete and utter cunt for doing that. I congratulated a colleague for being pregnant. She wasn't. She had a pot belly. To this day I avoid her like a plague. At a house party gathering, drinking with friends and some girls. One girl, we'll call Jenny, I was friends with. I think she had a crush on me. Another girl said, "Hey, "Are you drunk enough to kiss Jenny yet?" I said, "Not even close." I have a habit of saying distasteful jokes without thinking, but that one really made me feel like a complete piece of it on self-reflection. Backstory: my dad has a habit for moving things around the house while cleaning up and forgetting where he put a certain item. It's become a running joke with our family. We constantly allude to him hiding our keys and our phones whenever we can't find them. Skip to last Saturday. I was looking for a guitar pedal I had let him borrow and could not find it anywhere. I opened up cabinets, dug through a closet, rummaged through drawers looking for this thing. Throughout the entire search I'm gradually getting angrier, asking where he might have put it, and his response slowly shifts from "I did not touch your guitar pedal" to "I can't remember if I touched your guitar pedal. I'm not sure." After searching and ranting about my dad's terrible habit of hiding things from us for roughly an hour, I gave up. I knew that he had cleaned the house up, and I just knew that my guitar pedal was hidden away in some dresser or cardboard box. I was positive of it. Defeated, I head upstairs to get on my computer, and as I'm sitting down I see a familiar object in the corner of my eye. The ducking pedal. The moment I see it, my memories of setting it down next to my desk come rushing back to me. My dad was telling the truth. He absolutely did not touch it. I felt like the biggest arsehole for not only harassing my father about the location of something so meaningless, but also making him question his own sanity in the process. And yes, I apologized profusely. TLDR, I accidentally gaslit my own father. In 6th grade, there was this girl, Lily, who was bullied a lot by my circle of friends. I always considered myself one of the good ones because I was never mean to her. I wasn't nice either, though. I just ignored her. Lily lived down the street from me, and over the summer we became the best of friends. It was the first time I felt like someone actually understood me and I could be my real self without fear of being made fun of. I didn't really see any of my other friends that summer, but I don't remember why. I just know that I never told them about Lily, and I didn't have to because they lived pretty far away, so we never ran into them. Well, the day before school starts, I'm starting to get nervous about how my friends and the rest of the school are going to react to me hanging out with Lily. It was a small school, so people actually cared about this stuff. I decided I didn't want to be a target for their bullying just by associating with Lily. So I call her up and pretend to cry and make up this dramatic story about how one of my friends saw Lily at the store talking to this other girl about me, saying the meanest stuff. Lily cried and tried to convince me it wasn't true, and I hung up on her. I tried to convince myself that I wasn't an asshole because I didn't actively participate in bullying Lily, but within a couple of weeks, I knew what I did was way worse. We are actually friends now, and have been for the last 15 years. I was her maid of honor and she's my son's godmother. In middle school, I saw a kid walking around with a fanny pack, so I snickered and said, "Nice fanny pack." He said, "It's for my insulin. Just got diagnosed with diabetes." I was 23 when I found out that I needed glasses for being nearsighted. I did not take the news well. I did not want to wear glasses. My boyfriend went to the store with me and pointed out frames he thought would work well for my face. And he said very encouraging things, while I itched non-stop about how ugly they all were. Then a woman who was also browsing in the store turned to me and said, "Could I borrow him? He is so helpful." I was ashamed to realize how I was taking out being upset about my vision on this great boyfriend, now husband. I lived a really sheltered life, and up until around freshman year I was the nicest of all nice guys. Can't even imagine how many girls and women I was a D to on the internet because lady basically owes me nudes since I paid attention to her. Definitely glad I grew past that. We were in biology class and the teacher was talking about how a snail reacts to salt being put on him. And innocent me said out loud how I sometimes do that and it makes me laugh because they get all foamy and stuff. I didn't think it would hurt them. So all of a sudden she gets ducking angry at me and tells me that snails endure horrible pain when salt is being put on them. Like when a person is set on fire, that kind of pain. And the whole class was looking at me like some monster. I never meant to hurt them. I never did it again after that, lol. when I realized I was yelling at my lifelong friends over League of Legends, which upon reflection was no longer fun for me to play. It was only fun to win, and most of the time it felt more exhausting than anything. I quit that day and never played again. I'm generally polite and live in the south, so it's customary to hold open the door, say thank you and so on. A couple years ago I noticed a lot of people just started walking through without saying anything, so one day, in which I was in a particularly bad mood, I decided screw it, I'm done being polite. I was walking into a convenience store and noticed someone walking behind me, but just let the door fly open. When I got inside I noticed that I had just let the door fall back on a little old lady. It still haunts me honestly. After that I decided I would be polite no matter what, whether or not it's returned. A few years ago I was talking with a friend and I mentioned the band Rage Against the Machine. He had never heard of them. I instantly started acting like an obnoxious prick. You don't know Rage Against the Machine? Tom Morello? Zach De La Rocha? Bulls on Parade? Sleep Now in the Fire? Ducking Killing in the Name of? Have you been living inside a bunker? Yada yada yada. Then, in a sudden moment of clarity, it hit me. Rage Against the Machine's debut album came out when I was 2 and I didn't discover them until my late teens. For almost 15 years someone could have been an equal arsehole to me for not being aware of their existence. That's the moment I stopped giving people it for not knowing a certain artist, movie, book, whatever the duck. It's better to recommend some cool it to a friend than being an elitist little turd. I was 8. My dad was drunk at a family gathering and we had a disagreement in which hurtful things were said from both parties, so I ran and hid. He found me later and tried to make amends. During our DNM he brought up how he lost his father at a young age and it still hurts him. I felt awful and empathetic. Then I hear him laugh, so I lashed out with "You're not funny" and walked away. As I was walking away I realized he was crying, not laughing. I didn't go back to console him even as I felt the shame wash over me. I have since explained my actions and he honestly did not recall this. Edit. Spelling. Also DNM or DANDM is short for deep and meaningful conversation. I had finished my high school exams and my uncle and aunt had invited me over for a feast. The spread was beautiful. We had dessert in the living room when they both walked towards me with a big smile on their faces. In their hands was a little gift box. They said they were proud of me for finishing school and this was a little surprise from them. And of course, I was super grateful and all, and I started to open the gift. Inside I saw a watch box. I was excited. I like watches. As I get deeper into the box and open the lid, I see that there's a gold watch sitting there looking at my face. Now, y'all don't know this. I don't like gold or bling or stuff like that. Not my style. Don't get me wrong. All those people who do sport it on look amazing. I have nothing against the styles. Coming back though, the whole time I had been unwrapping this surprise of a bee, my uncle and aunt had been waiting for a reaction. Those poor bastards, all they wanted was to make me happy, and all I could manage was, "Oh, that was my "oh it, I'm an asshole" moment. A few years ago I served food at an event held by the cultural center I worked for on my college campus. The event was totally free to attend. I was dishing out meat to those who chose to come. We had chicken and barbecue ribs. A girl walks up and our conversation goes as follows. Me, chicken or ribs? Her, what's the difference? Me, this one's chicken. This one's ribs. My manager approached me later and said he was moving me to drinks because apparently I was rude to her. When it was brought up at a staff meeting I asked, well, what was I supposed to say? They all laughed at me. Apparently I'm an asshole. Still have no idea what I was supposed to say. I was at a party when I was younger, 21-22, and a girl had her eyes on me all night. I came out of the restroom to find her waiting in the hallway. She grabbed me and we made out there. She quickly pulled me in a room and we got it on. People realized we were missing and suspected us hooking up in the room. I don't remember what was said by other party goers, but someone opened the door jokingly and I said, "Who's next?" I don't know why I said it or how it got interrupted. I got slapped by the girl and I know it kinda messed her up for a while. A few years after that I was very causally hooking up with a girl. As she was driving away after a night with me I said, "Thanks for the 6." I don't know why I speak sometimes. She didn't let that go for a while. I complained via email about a co-worker making repeated mistakes on a fairly simple procedure. Problem was, I hit reply all and sent that email out to around 100 plus people. Sorry about that, Erica. When I was 10, one of my friends who was a girl accidentally tripped me and I got mud all over my new sweater. I really didn't mind. But the rest of our group of friends immediately went, "You, she ruined your sweater. What are you gonna do?" Instinctively I put her in a joke headlock and poked her in the side trying to tickle her. We were all laughing, but when I let her go, I saw that she was crying. We just awkwardly walked away from each other. The odd thing is that we remained close friends after the incident, and it was never brought up again. I have quite severe road rage. I am working on it. After being cut off one too many times and eventually stuck at a slip road for almost half an hour, I thought, duck it, and just went for it. The car I shoved in front of, I realized too late, was a hearse. I still think about it at night when I can't sleep. I often say things that I think are funny, but then immediately realize that it was really hurtful and regret it so much it hurts. I had this teacher that I really hated in high school. We'll call her MRS. Capital K. I had to take her class and I was VP of the club she supervised, so I had to interact with MRS K a lot. She had a daughter in my grade, but they had different last names, so I never made the direct connection in my head. I'm not too talkative, but one day at lunch, I go on an aggressive 5-minute rant about how much I hate MRS K and how she's my least favorite person in the world. No one else around me is really saying anything and I can't figure out why. Then I look across the table and see this MRS K's daughter across from me, and I finally make the connection and it hits me like a ton of bricks. She didn't say anything, but the anger and frustration shown on her face was frightening. Not knowing what to do and being awkward AF, I just let out a soft "just kidding" and her friends get up and leave. TD, LR. I accidentally talked it about a classmate's mom to their face. Posting on Reddit sometimes makes me reread my it and realize I'm being an asshole. I don't do it on purpose, but I think years of reading and writing posts on the internet has tainted my tone. In high school, this girl would sleep through every class, so one day I decide that I want to take a nap too. The teacher wakes me and tells me to pay attention. I say, "But that girl gets to sleep every day and you wake me up." I could tell this teacher was pissed and I had no idea why she was so mad. So she keeps me after class to tell me, "You're a ducking asshole." I was shocked that she called me that, but I asked why does she get to sleep and I don't. The teacher said because she has cancer. Yeah, I was definitely a ducking asshole. I was high as duck for the second time in my life on brownies. We are at a bowling alley. I get a gutter ball and yell, "Ah, duck, that's retarded." There is literally a group of mentally disabled people the next lane over. Some dude comes over and starts yelling at me. I was just like, "Oh duck, my bad." I used to make a good deal of money by today's standards. I did it risking my life and limb on a daily basis while working far from home, so I don't recommend. But there was this one time the then wife and I had spent an hour shopping for groceries and got up to the checkout only to have my debit card declined. Being the arsehole I can be on occasion, and the checker told me I would need to use another valid form of payment, I blurted out, "I just deposited 10 grand into that account. Run it again." It of course went through the second time, but I never did live down what the ex called my $10,000 moment. 15-year-old me told my dad that the new Adidas soccer cleats he proudly gave me for Christmas weren't good enough. The $sign hit. I'm an $sign whole moment came later when I got excited about a gift for her and she was explicitly unimpressed. Karma. My friends invented me to a girl's house who also had a couple girls friends over. 3 guys, 3 girls. Everything was going great. They put on a movie, something about Mary, and we all sort of cuddled up next to the girl we were feeling, and right out the gate, a D caught in a zipper scene comes on and we all laugh and I go, "Oh man, I'd literally shoot myself in the face if that happened." My friend's eyes immediately widened like a ducking owl and stares at me shaking his head no as the laughter dies into chuckles, and then, "Anyone want any drinks?" my friend says, with a "get your ass in the kitchen" look. We walk in there, and he is like, "Bro, her dad shot himself in the head last weekend. That is why her friends are all here and invited everyone over to kind of help her forget about it. SMH. That would have been some nice info going in. I ditched a great girl the day before homecoming to go to an amusement park with a bigger boobed girl. Big boobed girl cancelled the next day, but great girl found a new date and ended up dating him for 3 years. She still despises to this day. I was friends with a couple of girls at different times, and I got creepy. I thought I was in love and they were returning none of my advances. I refused to get the hint. I thought I could convince them with gifts and turning our chances to hang out into low-key dates. This went on for years. I realize now that I was a creepy piece of it who wouldn't take no for an answer and kept creeping until the friendships ended. If you're reading this and you think you might be like me, then you seriously need to reevaluate how you approach relationships. Never had that moment. My mom's been calling me an asshole since I was a toddler. Accidentally walked a blind man into a tree. We were talking and I forgot he was blind. Guy who was really antagonistic with me and a bully in school. He was a massive bag of D's. Was in class one day and his mother had passed away. He looked like he was about to break into tears. And I said what was possibly the most ducked up thing in my life. Going to cry? Where did the big boy pants go? She probably deserved it for giving birth to you. Maybe she wouldn't be in a coffin if she swallowed. A teacher heard it and I got sent to the principal. I knew I should feel bad at that point of time. But I was so drunk on revenge that nothing could top the satisfaction. I did apologize to him after though, and we made our peace. When I was a freshman, I was talking to one of my guy friends about our upcoming homecoming dance. I was secretly hoping he would ask me to the dance, but he kept bringing up his friends instead. When he said, "What would you say if Joey asked you?" I responded I'd rather go alone, hoping he'd get the hint and ask me himself. He started awkwardly laughing and said he had to go. He texted me a few minutes later telling me that Joey had been listening in and was pretty upset. I tried to apologize to Joey, but the damage was done. He ended up not going to the dance at all and rarely spoke to me after that. I found out later that he had a crush on me and had an elaborate plan set up to ask me to the dance that evening, and already had flowers. I still cringe when I see his name somewhere. Poor guy. As a kid my dad sponsored a friend of his to live in Australia and he was the most positive and nicest guy I've ever met, but he would sweat like no other. His body would look like he was dumped in a vat of oil and my sister and I nicknamed him Snail because of how slimy his skin was. He'd try to be friends with me, try to speak English and hug me, but I'd physically retch and grimace at being near him. He eventually stopped coming near me and realized I was an asshole. I blamed a fart on a mentally challenged girl. This student teacher at my high school was stocking one of the vending machines. I go over and say hi and something to the effect of, "So they're giving you all the crap jobs now." She's like, "Nah, I have fun doing this." As I walk away a bunch of special ed kids round the corner and come over to help her and I suddenly realize they have the special ed kids restock the vending machines and her job for the day was helping them.